Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Ramsey Emak. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times 276. Now the news in full. The House of Representatives has begun a sweeping investigation into alleged unethical practices in the disbursement of student loans under the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, that is NEL Fund. Our correspondent Anita Patrick has the details.
The probe follows a resolution passed by the House in May mandating a joint committee to look into alleged financial irregularities in Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund operations. Concerns raised include fund diversion, regulatory breaches, and other unethical practices said to be undermining the integrity of the student loan scheme. But at this investigative hearing, key stakeholders were notably absent, prompting lawmakers to issue a 48-hour ultimatum to the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Ministers of Finance and Education, and other relevant bodies to submit their memoranda. The National Orientation Agency condemns the alleged misconduct, calling it sabotage against both citizens and government efforts to expand access to higher education.
This hearing is therefore structured to achieve specific objectives. First, to verify the authenticity of the reported allegations of mismanagement and lack of due diligence in the loan approval and disbursement processes.
Lawmakers warn that administrative failures and deliberate abuse must not be allowed to derail a policy as crucial as students' financing. At a technical session, committee members questioned the unexplained absence of NEL Fund's Director of Finance and criticized the agency's failure to present documentation supporting its appropriations and expenditures. In his presentation, NEL Fund Managing Director Akintunde Sawyer disclosed that the agency has received a total of 203 billion naira, comprising 10 billion from the national budget and 143 billion from TETFund and 50 billion recovered by the EFCC as proceeds of crime.
To objectively look into the allegations before us, to interrogate the operational processes guiding the disbursement of student loans, to examine compliance within existing legal and ethical frameworks, to recommend actionable solutions to ensure that the student loan system fulfills its intended purpose.
There are issues that we may likely must have to call the finance minister, and that means the public hearing is now being delayed by you, and therefore, Mr. Chairman, that is the way to go about it. Let him just provide some of this information, since he has the resolutions, and every other agency here representing his institution should also have this resolution.
As the investigation deepens, the House says it will leave no stone unturned to ensure transparency and restore public trust in the Student Loan Initiative. Anita Patrick, Global Television News.
The Imo State government has issued a directive to herders across the state to end open grazing on or before July 24, 2025 as part of efforts to promote peaceful coexistence and safeguard public order. The announcement was made by the Commissioner for Livestock Development, Dr. Anthony Mbehurike, during a stakeholders meeting with cattle breeders and herders held in Owerri. Dr. Mbehurike emphasized the government's commitment to preserving social and economic stability while ensuring harmonious relations between farmers and herders. A voter getting accredited to vote at polling unit 006 at Deniji Adele, Lagos Island on Saturday. Voting has commenced at polling unit 006, St. Stephen's Nazarene Primary School at Deniji Adele, Lagos Island, where Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is expected to cast his vote. The voting set to elect chairmen and councillors for the local government areas began at the polling unit at 8 a.m. The lead visionary of Lagos for Lagos Movement and 2023 governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Olajide Adediran, popularly known as Jandor, voted in the ongoing Lagos State local government and councillorship elections. Speaking to journalists after casting his vote, Adediran emphasized the critical importance of grassroots representation in the delivery of good governance to the citizens. He encouraged all Lagosians to troop out en masse to carry out their civic duty, maintaining that voting in local elections help in holding the grassroots leaders accountable and gives voice to the communities. Abemide past National Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, that is APC, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, has congratulated Governor Monday Okpebholo of Edo State on his victory at the Supreme Court, which affirmed him as the duly elected governor of the state. In a statement signed by his chief press secretary, Edwin Olofu, Dr. Ganduje described the verdict as a landmark judgment and a reaffirmation of the will of the good people of Edo State. The former chairman of the ruling APC stated that the verdict has once again demonstrated that the judiciary remains the last hope of the common man and a critical pillar in the defense of democracy. He urged Governor Okpebholo to see the victory as a renewed opportunity to unite the people of Edo State, irrespective of political differences, and continue to deliver the dividends of democracy to all. As the world marks Population Day today, stakeholders across Nigeria are raising concern on the implications of population growth on national development. With Nigeria's population projected to surpass 400 million by 2050, conversations are shifting towards sustainability, planning, and human capital investment. Hassan Kabir reports.
World Populations Day is a day set aside by the United Nations every year. It's observed globally as to spotlight population strength and their impact on people, resources, and national planning. In Nigeria, the challenge remains not just the rapid rise in numbers, but the need to match it with infrastructure, education, healthcare, and job creations.
World Populations Day is an event that is celebrated every 11th of July, and it was inaugurated by the United Nations Governing Council, I think in 1989 thereabout. And the main aim is to spotlight the population, as it were, as regards human beings, and some of the very interesting, tricky challenges and, if possible, opportunities that come with either a growing population or a declining population.
In Abuja, experts say rising population without adequate social investment could deepen poverty and insecurity, especially in underserved communities.
I believe the government should come up with policies to check the growth of the population so that it does not go out of their control, because if it does, there will be diverse vices that which may go into robbery, prostitution, and some other things like that.
On the street of Abuja, residents expressed mixed views on whether Nigeria is ready to handle its growing numbers.
Because of the situation of Nigeria, nothing is happening now. Not to born, to train and be matter now. To born, they cannot train. That's why you see Boko Haram, all this bad thing. It's happening for me. They don't need to people to born again, man. They no one here.
Beyond infrastructure, civil society actors are calling for policy review and data-driven planning to help Nigeria make the most of its demographic potentials.
For the government, I know that the Federal Ministry of Youth Development is doing a great job with the Minister, Comrade Ayodele Wisdom. He is doing a great job there are a lot more opportunities for youth, and I really would love to say here on air that he should continue, the ministry should continue, and they should keep creating some of these opportunities for young people, because I mean they are the bulk of our population. And if we stay informed and involved, then we'll be able to find out where those opportunities are and take advantage of them.
As Nigeria joins the world to commemorate World Populations Day, the call is loud and clear. The future depends on what we do today with our people, our policies and our priorities. Hassan Kabir reporting for Global TV.
In another development, the new Nigerian People's Party has explained why it is not fielding candidates in Saturday's local government council election in Lagos State. Election being held across the 20 local government areas and 37 local council development areas in the state. Speaking to newsmen, the NNPP National Publicity Secretary, Ogini Olabosi, described the move as a regrettable but necessary, citing limited options available to the party at the time. He further explained that the Independent National Electoral Commission's failure to update the party's official records worsened the situation. The Ekiti State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Oyebanji Filani, says the state government is stepping up efforts to make the healthcare delivery attractive and accessible to people in all parts of the state, particularly the grassroots. Oyebanji said that the state government have employed 250 nurses, midwives and community health workers. The commissioner spoke at Otun Ekiti while rounding off a two-day community mobilization and stakeholders engagements. Oyebanji said the government provided free maternal health and childcare services, and as well as free laboratory tests and malaria treatment for all residents at the 177 primary health care centers across the state under the Basic Healthcare Provisions Fund and Ilurawa program of the state government. Residents of the Federal Capital Territory, that is FCT, are lamenting over the unprecedented hardship as rental price surge. Tenants report staggering price increase in the housing sector as the cost of living has taken a new turn. Sadia Yakubu has the details.
The Nigerian capital, Abuja, once known for its affordable housing and well-planned districts, is now among the most expensive cities to live in West Africa. But what's driving these rent hikes? From high-rise apartments in the center of Abuja to modest flats in most areas, one thing is clear: rent and property prices have skyrocketed, rising by more than 100% in some areas in less than 2 years. Nigerians attribute the rent on inflation and naira devaluation, which have pushed the cost of building materials to record heights.
High cost of building materials in the market. A bag of cement was sold last 2 years for 4,500 and or even less, but now we are getting it for almost 10,000 naira. At least with that, you'll see that the cost of building houses now in Abuja is very, very on the high side.
Now that things are very expensive, things are on the high side in the market, you get like you say, okay, I just start building that property now and I'm going to buy cement. Cement is like okay on the high side, and then all these materials, building materials are high. But these properties, you've made gain because it has been there for ages. So now what's the main reason? I just want to understand what is the main reason that landlords and caretakers are increasing the price.
There you have it, mixed reactions trailing the surge in affording a rent in the nation's capital. The appeal is for the government to intervene, especially in the satellite towns for the citizenry. Sadia Yakubu, Global Television.
The House of Representatives Committee on Hydrological Services and Hydroelectrical Power Producing Areas Development Commission has called for a coordinated national response to the rising threat of floods across Nigeria. Chairman of the committee, Honorable Pascal Ogbodike, It says urgent action is needed, particularly in high-risk areas near major dams and flood-prone communities. Anita Patrick has the details.
At an interactive session in Abuja with key stakeholders, Chairman of the House Committee on Hydrological Services and Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPADEC, Honorable Pascal Abodike, raised alarm over Nigeria's deepening flood crisis, blaming it on climate change, unplanned urban growth and crumbling infrastructure. The lawmaker outlined 4 urgent areas for government action: boosting public awareness, enhancing flood forecasting, rehabilitating critical infrastructure, and adopting climate resilience policies.
Deploying technology for accurate weather forecasting and the real-time flood alerts will significantly help to curb reoccurring flood disasters.
In another development, the committee has summoned the Minister of Transportation and Managing Director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation. Lawmakers say both officials must answer questions about their roles in Mokwa flood disaster, which claimed lives and left scores displayed.
Because you generate powers from all this dam. So as you are taking from the people, you also know that you also join us in preventing any of such occurrences again in Nigeria.
The Managing Director of Nigerian Incentive-Based Risk Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, NISAL, Aliu Abdul Hamid, and Chairman of Mokwa Local Government, Honorable Jibril Muragi, blamed poor railway infrastructure, among other failings, for the tragic incident.
Because it was blocked. There was some infrastructure and there was some drainage that was going through the railway embankment to flow down the river Dengi. Now, what happened was, after the inundation, they blocked completely.
With rainfall expected to intensify in the upcoming weeks, the committee insists that proactive, coordinated action is now a matter of national urgency. Anita Patrick, Global Television News.
A Senate has appealed to President Bola Tinubu to approve 200 million naira as compensation for the family of 2-year-old Ivan Omoria, who was killed by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, that is NDLEA, during a raid in Asaba Delta State. Topsy Gimba covered the plenary and now completes the story.
The upper legislative chamber also directed the agency to cover all medical expenses for Ivan's younger brother, 1-year-old Romon Shele, who suffered a serious eye injury in the same incident. The Senate condemned the actions of the NDL officers, describing their conduct as reckless and unprofessional. Speaking during the plenary, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Ethics, Neda Emaswen, stressed the need for justice and proper support for the grieving family.
We have a 2-year-old that was inadvertently shot and killed by NDLA while they were carrying out some operations.
The incident sparked outrage in the chamber, with senators raising concerns over the growing misuse of force by security agencies across the country.
But for the killing of someone, officers need to know that the uniform is not a license to kill and go home and sleep with your own children.
In his ruling, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, citing the Senate standing rules, said the Senate cannot entertain any petition seeking grants or public funds unless it is accompanied by the President's approval.
We can't accept this in Nigeria, where we give you uniform, we pay you, and then you go and kill Nigerians that you are supposed to protect. So I subscribe that this family be paid this amount of compensation.
The Senate's appeal for compensation is contingent upon the President's approval, aligning with the regulatory frameworks governing public expenditure. Topsy Gimba reporting for Global Television News.
You're watching News Cycle. News Cycle will return after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now let's take you to the world of business, where the Nigerian Customs Service has denied claims that importers or clearing agents are required to pay fees to migrate their Form M from the Nigerian Integrated Custom Information System, that is NICIS-2, to the newly introduced B Odogwu Trade Management System. The clarification was made in a statement issued by Assistant Controller of Custom Abdullahi Mewada and the National Public Relations Officer on behalf of the Controller General of Customs, Bashir Adewale Adeniyi MFR. Mewada explained that the migration process is part of a phase, a technical transition initiated by the service to ensure the continuity of trade documentation as the B Odogwu platform is deployed across custom area commands. The exchange rate closed the week with a mixed performance as the Naira recorded a slight depreciation in the official market but strengthening on the parallel black market. According to the Bank of Nigeria's website, the official rate ended at 1,532 Naira to a dollar on Friday, slightly depreciating from Thursday's 1,531 Naira to dollar. The currency started the week at 1,529 Naira to $1 on Monday before weakening to 1,530 Naira to a dollar on Tuesday. Now, on the foreign scene, 6 months after closing key border crossing due to rebel advances, Uganda has reopened its border with Democratic Republic of Congo. The move came after the seizure of Goma by the M23 rebel group, which led to the shutdown of crossing at Bunagana and Ishasha in Congo's North Kivu province. Uganda military assist Chris Megazi confirmed the reopening on social media, stating that it was ordered directly by President Yoweri Museveni. Megazi also noted that those responsible for initially closing the crossing and disrupting trade between the two communities will be investigated. The decision follows the recent signing of a peace agreement in Washington, where Rwanda and the DRC agreed to support future talks between the M23 rebels and the Congolese army. With the border reopened and international diplomacy on the way, regional dynamics are shifting. The success of upcoming peace talks will depend heavily on continued pressure from international stakeholders and a willingness among parties to compromise. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan hosted Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud in Ankara for a high-level meeting focused on strengthening bilateral relations, particularly in the areas of counter-terrorism and regional cooperation. The meeting comes as tensions between Somalia and Ethiopia escalate as mediation effort over controversial port access agreed stall. The talks, brokered by Turkey since February 2024, aim to resolve a dispute triggered by a deal signed on January 2024 between Ethiopia and the self-declared Republic of Somalia. And now to the world of sport, Carlo Alcaraz takes on Jannik Sinner in the Wimbledon final on Sunday, the latest chapter in an absorbing rivalry at the pinnacle of men's tennis. The two players have shared 7 of the past 8 Grand Slam between them, evenly splitting the 6th since the start of 2024. The sport is relishing gripping new rivalry as it moves on from the storied era of the big three of Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Novak Djokovic. That's it on Global TV News Cycle. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Thank you for watching.